Hey, how's it going? This is a pretty different video that I'm doing right now. Honestly, I wasn't really expecting to do this sort of video essay type, a thing. And it wasn't really planned, but it was just something that I really wanted to get off my chest and something that I have to say. And yeah, let's get started. It's pretty exciting to be a Spider-Man fan right now. There's a new movie coming out next year that is starring Tom Holland, which is picking right off where No Way Home left his character, and many people, including myself, are anticipating what they might do in the future in the next chapters of this Peter's story and journey. Many people want to see Norman Osborn, and while I'm pretty excited for what they might do to Norman, I feel like there needs to be a break from the Green Goblin. I feel like he's pretty overexposed right now, in that we've gotten so many versions. I feel like they really need to take their time with, Oscorp, Norman, Harry Osborn, the Osborns, and all that Green Goblin storylines, and save it for further down the line. I do love Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, obviously. He stole the show. I loved how he conveyed the sympatheticness, but I also want to talk about a particularly evil style, different version of the Goblin that many people know and many people might not know. So that's what this video is about. He first appeared in The Amazing Spider-Man number 238 in March of 1983. The mystery. I love mysteries in stories. It allows for a person or an audience to engage with the other characters. That leads them to following the clues in the directions that mystery starts to unfold, with the signs there from the very beginning, which makes it no surprise that I love the mystery behind the Hobgoblin and his true identity. Despite the constant editorial and studio mess and fighting creatives had over who the Hobgoblin was, which ended up being a little too long, and overall unnecessary. But I feel like that's what makes the Hobgoblin so interesting about this villain. He had a lot of decoys and imposters, such as Ned, Flash, his twin brother Daniel, even this nobody ended up killing himself in the explosion because the Hobgoblin, the real one, gave him the Green Goblin formula because he knew how dangerous and unstable it was and what it did to Norman, so he made sure he tested it out until he perfected it. Even though it was eventually revealed to be Roderick Kingsley, a famous fashion designer, he made sure that his identity was kept secret so that no one knew who he was. Ironic that his enemy was Spider-Man, who also can't allow anyone to know his secret identity. That's the first thing that makes the character popular in the first place, having readers participating in this Guess Who type games. Speaking of games, that leads me to my next point, Mastermind. The Hobgoblin is a mastermind criminal, genius, gangster, but most importantly, manipulator. The next thing that I love about this villain is that he tries so desperately to get what he wants and accomplish his goal, which is a classic supervillain trope, but one that's timeless and brought to new light. When a nobody criminal accidentally discovers the secret hideout of the Green Goblin, he solds it to Kingsley, who was in disguise. Kingsley immediately makes a deal and uses the remaining gadgets of the Goblin to make use of his own. He becomes the Hobgoblin and pulls off various crimes to get his name out there and to establish himself to the world. His main goal is to get rid of the remaining competition of the crime lords in their game of organizations of the criminal underworld, in order to become the most powerful than he already was, but also more importantly to gain respect. Despite his success in the fashion business, it was never enough for Roderick and chose to become a supervillain. But while there are many people and fans out there that dislike this character since the beginning, calling him a knockoff Green Goblin, and for a while I used to be among one of those people, over time, through understanding the character more and more, maybe not only changed my mind on the character, but also became my favorite Spider-Man villain of all time. Sure, there are many similarities between the two goblins, but there are major differences between them also. Norman, despite being a cruel businessman and father, tragically becomes a monster who slowly became insane over time. And while I do love sympathetic villains and their backstories, I must admit I just love pure evil villains. Perfect example, Roderick Kingsley, aka the Hobgoblin. He's not sympathetic. There is no tragedy behind the mask, only ambitions and schemes by a cunning villain who chose to become a monster, a demon, and a goblin. He even at one point brought shady individuals like Harry Osborn and Kingpin to a meeting to gather everyone up that was quote-unquote his enemy, to destroy or blackmail them once and for all. Sure, he teams up with others from time to time, but like most villains, it only serves to further his own goals, like when he was forced to confront Harry in order to get more weapons and supplies of his father had while he was the Green Goblin. Speaking of confrontations, his rivalry with Spidey. He has a pretty interesting relationship with Peter. It's not personal, it's hate, much like most of Spider-Man's rogues gallery, but I just love that so much, and it works perfectly here. Hobgoblin knows that he's no match for Spider-Man and actively tries to avoid him if he can. From their very first fight to their last, Hobgoblin needs Spider-Man out of the way, out of the picture, since he's a roadblock to interrupting and messing with his plans and truly wants him dead. But Peter not giving up, wanting to stop a goblin after he failed to stop the previous one that accomplished his goals. Their entire rivalry can be summed up by this one favorite comic panel of mine. Style. At first, I didn't like the colors for the Hobgoblin. The orange and blue was a bit off from the typical iconic green and purple, but over time I got used to the colors, and it makes the Hobgoblin stand out visually, especially with his awesome cape and hood. I also love how his mask actually looks scary and like a goblin than the Green Goblin, who just looked like an elf or Wicked Witch of the Wizard of Oz, especially when it was perfected by the legendary artist Todd McFarlane, who made the Hobgoblin even more intimidating and like a demon. Conclusion. Why this matters, it's pretty crazy how there's this awesome villain that's rarely showcased in other media. With his only real accurate appearance was on the 90s Taz show played by Mark Hamill, despite it being Jason McIndale. There are many people that are saying Hobgoblin should be in the College trilogy, which I would second that because I don't think we need another Norman Osborn, at least not yet. He needs to be established and built up in the background as a looming presence. But it would be pretty interesting to see a goblin that is not an Osborn, but is still a major threat that Peter could face, and the fears of the Green Goblin head on. But let me know in the comments what you personally think they should do with the goblins in the MCU, and your own thoughts and opinions on the Hobgoblin, whether you love him or whether you hate him. And if you would like to know and see more of these videos like this in the future. And yeah, hopefully see you in the next one.